What's going on, guys? It's Modern, back with another episode of Road to the Top. Today we're actually going to be using the team that I used at the first Arizona Midseason showdown. If you didn't know, I did post the Swiss rounds the other day on YouTube, so you can go and check those out. I'll actually link to the to the playlist in the description. It's pretty much just all the Swiss rounds, and then I'll be working on getting the top cut rounds on my channel as well. It just takes a little bit longer for those because I want to rip them straight from the DS instead of taking them from our stream just because we had commentary. I'd rather just have the gameplay straight up, so I don't want that to sort of get in the way or anything. So I'm currently working on that. As far as the team goes, there are a couple major differences that have actually sort of changed up the way you have to play the team. For instance, Mawile is actually a lot bulkier on this variant. So, for instance, it can take a max special attack Origin Pulse from Kyogre, which is pretty nice. And then once if there's certain Pokemon that are -1, then Mawile can also take attacks from those Pokemon too. But yeah, anyway, we're just going to get straight into it. If you guys are wondering, for the mid-season, I actually ended up getting top 16. I was going 3-0 in the tournament, and if I had won one more match, I would have actually made top cut. But unfortunately, against two of my friends, 2 rounds in a row, I missed 2 Precipice Blades in a row. Mixing myself up a little there, but yeah. Obviously, just by the way I'm describing it, you can tell I got sort of hacked out. It was fine, though. I still took some CP away from the tournament, so despite the fact that I would have actually... At least one of those matches I would have guaranteed won if I hit a single Precipice Blades. In either case for the match, I would have actually guaranteed the win, but it's alright. Like I said, I walked out with some CP. First opponent's going to be Chris, running a Ray Ogre team. And this looks sort of like a stereotypical Ray Ogre team where you have Rayquaza, Kyogre, Crobat. But they have a couple of major differences given that... they have Sableye, which probably means that they're going to be running something maybe like Hypnosis Crobat, and then maybe like Gunk Shot Greninja, and then probably Origin Pulse on the Kyogre. Obviously, since they do have so many Pokemon weak to electric types, I'm probably going to lead Thundurus right here. And honestly, I'm probably going to... Actually, do I want Thundurus? I might lead Salamence next to it. No, actually, you know what? Mawile's pretty safe to come in here, actually. I'm going to lead Mawile Yveltal. And then probably Thundurus and Groudon in the back. Because although I could go for the Tricker mode's like really, really strong right here. But it feels like Cresselia doesn't really do anything besides that. Like obviously setting up Trick Room's really, really good for Groudon in this situation. But it doesn't really benefit anything else on my team. And if I really need to, I can just Thunder Wave things with Thundurus. So let's see, do they just lead the irritating lead? No, they lead Greninja and the Sableye, so I'm not really sure what they're going to go for straight off the bat here. There's always the possibility they could be running something like Will-O-Wisp Sableye, which would obviously make it so my Mawile doesn't deal as much damage. I don't think Sableye will be too irritating to deal with for this match. I think just straight off the bat, I'll actually just play rough and probably just Dark Pulse the Greninja. Because I don't want to switch out my Mawile out into Groudon because he might have a Water-type attack on Greninja, and in that case he could just switch in Rayquaza and then KO me the following turn. And let's see, they just go for a Fake Out on a Mawile, so that's fine. They're probably just going for Ice Beam, I'd imagine. Yeah, onto Yveltal right here. Protean's going to activate. Going to do super effective damage right here. I don't imagine it'll do more than half to Yveltal. Yeah, okay. And they're Life Orbs, so that's pretty good because that means that I can... I don't need to worry about Sash. Well, I mean, I'm Dark Pulsing it, so it doesn't really matter. But, yeah. Alright, and we're actually in a pretty great position right here. Because I can just go for a Play Rough and a Sucker Punch into the Greninja. Play Rough will... most likely knock out the Sableye, even if they Will-O-Wisp me. They actually have Water Shuriken. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. If you guys don't know, Water Shuriken is a priority Water-type attack that can hit 2 to 5 times. It's not really the strongest of attacks, but, you know, some people just randomly opt to use it. So, I don't know. I guess he was predicting the Sucker Punch in that case, though. And they do carry the Will-O-Wisp. All avoids, though. Play Rough going to go out. This is actually Rosalai Berry on the Sableye, though. So, oh, wow, but they survived, so they're extremely bulky. Okay, so this is actually pretty interesting now, because now I have to play around the potential Ice Beam. So I'm really wishing I went for the Snarl turn 1. So what do we think? Are they just going to Water Shuriken again? I think they will. Alright, Mawil's pretty important for this match too, so I'm going to risk it. I'm actually just going to go for Snarl again. They're probably going to predict it, but I don't know. They might just try to Water Shuriken, and they do. Okay. Into Mawile too. They Swagger Yveltal. So that's a horrible play. Why would my opponent do that? Because they could KO my Yveltal right here if they wanted to. Okay, but we don't get Haxed out, so that's nice. Double knockout right here is going to matter a lot. Snarl's going to quote-unquote drop the special attack right here. But obviously, picking up the double knockout means that it doesn't really matter. Probably going to see Rayquaza Kyogre in the back. I'm not really sure why my opponent would bring anything else. But I am in a fairly solid position right now. My opponent really relies on the either the Rayquaza or the Kyogre to one-hit knockout my Mawile right now. And that's obviously really good. And let's see, is this the Primal Kyogre? No, it's Scarf. Okay. So this is actually pretty big. Because this means that I can probably just double Sucker Punch the Kyogre. Wow, okay, so they might go for Extreme Speed on Yveltal right here, too. That's also a potential play. But yeah, I mean, that's really my only play. I'm not going to switch out. I'm Swaggered, so if I hit right here, oh my gosh, I'm going to KO this Kyogre, aren't I? Oh my god! A critical hit, too! Wow. That is a lot of damage. Okay, and Sucker Punch. Oh! That's cool. I didn't know that happened. But that apparently works. And they go for Overheat. So, wow, they really relied on the Swagger that match. I forgot I got Swaggered the turn before. Critical hit onto my Mawile, not really mattering. Life Orb Overheat easily picks up the one-hit knockout. Actually, no, it does pick up the one-hit knockout. But now I'm just going to reveal Thundurus in the back. This is one of the things I really like to do whenever I'm playing, is I try to play as if I'm playing a best-of-3 against someone. Okay, and my opponent doesn't really have a way to win. Yeah, so I can just go for Thunderbolt Sucker Punch, but they're just going to forfeit. They didn't really have a way to win besides me hitting myself in Swagger. What I was really hoping for was just to get some chip damage off with the Sucker Punch. So if they go for Water Spout, then it would reduce their damage output. I was in a pretty solid position regardless, though, because I could easily just go for a Thunder Wave into Kyogre. So even after the Sucker Punch damage, a Precipice Blades would be able to knock out the Kyogre. So that's mostly what I was playing for. And then the Rayquaza was most likely just the standard set, just because they did have the Overheat right there. I assume they had Dragon Ascent and probably Extreme Speed. And if they had anything over Extreme Speed, then it was probably not a move that could hit my Groudon super effectively, I'd imagine. Probably something like Draco Meteor, which would deal a lot of damage, but probably wouldn't help my opponent win at that point. Oh. Sorry, plugging in the charger. Irresponsible VGC player playing without any charge on their DS. So yeah, that was a little bit of a risky battle. I don't know. I don't know why my opponent went for the Swagger onto Yveltal. If anything, for them, I mean, I was expecting them to Water Shuriken again, just because they were a lower rated player. I mean, they could have predicted that and gone for Ice Beam, but I still would have gotten a double knockout. And then, I don't know, I guess a Burn Mawile plus Yveltal, that would still deal probably more than half to their Kyogre, so I would have still been in a really good position. So yeah, it really didn't matter that turn whether my opponent KO'd my Yveltal or not, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I probably definitely should have just gone for um, an Iron Head and then maybe an Iron Head and then probably just Sucker Punch to play it safe. So I probably should have played it like that. Because obviously, I mean, I wasn't playing around Swagger. I didn't expect Swagger to come out. But the Snarl was able to pick up the double knockout, which is what I was looking for. Like I said, though, I probably should have just gone for the Snarl in the first place. Because it was a lot safer of a move. But yeah, we're going to come into our next battle against I'm going to say an Asian opponent. I don't want to go and offend someone by saying Japanese, Chinese, Korean. They're actually running an Yveltal Kyogre team, so this is really weak to Mawile. This is one of the things that I really, really, really like about this matchup is having my Mawile, just because it's so good against their own Mawile and then their Yveltal. But the question is, what do I bring for my other Pokemon? Because I know the Trick Room, it would be good in this match, but Cresselia is just so weak to Yveltal. So I don't know. I guess what I could do is I could lead Mawile and Thundurus, and then I'll just do Yveltal Groudon in the back. And I assume my opponent's just going to use the top 4 Pokemon on their team. I'd imagine probably like Mawile Liepard or maybe Kyogre Liepard as a lead. But I should be pretty safe right here. Thundurus just threatens the Liepard a lot with the taunt. And then Thunderbolt hits really everything on their team pretty hard. So let's see. Mawile Thundurus on my side. My opponent leads Mawile and... Okay, so they led Mawile Liepard, so that's sort of what I was expecting right here. And then the Intimidate is also really nice because it means that their Mawile can't actually... Their Mawile can't actually one-hit KO my Thundurus after a Fake Out, so I'm pretty safe just to attack right here, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch out into Groudon and then go for a Thunderbolt into their Mawile. I don't know, I could also just Thunderbolt their Liepard too. Yeah, I'm going to go for that. Because since I'm switching in Groudon right here, the only real way that they could punish this switch is if they like foul play into that slot. Or if they switch in Kyogre, but I don't really think that makes sense given I have Thundurus out in the field. So I'm expecting they'll probably just Fake Out and then play rough the Thundurus. Or maybe just attack into the Groudon, which would also be really good for me. And they might also predict... I don't know. I don't expect them for me to go for Protect right here. Because that's sort of a bad play when a Liepard's on the field. So yeah, no, I definitely think they'll just double up into Thundurus. If they go for a foul play, play rough, then that's a good play on my opponent. But I'll at least be able to bring in my Mawile the next turn. But no, they just go for the Fake Out. And then Thunderbolt's going to go out, do probably 75% to this Liepard. Actually brings it down to the Sash, so... max special attack right there doing a lot of damage. And they do play rough the Thundurus. Okay. They drop my attack, but that's not really too important at this point. And then I think what I can just go for is a Precipice Blades. Yeah, I'll just go for a Precipice Blaze and a Taunt, I think. No, I don't know. Precipice Blades, what do I have in the back? Mawile and Yveltal. Okay, so... They probably know I'm going to play around Sucker Punch right here. They might have Swagger on Liepard, but it really doesn't help them in this situation unless I hit myself. And in that case, they might switch out into their Yveltal. But I think in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch out into Mawile. So at the very least, I Intimidate their Mawile, and then if they go for Sucker Punch, that'll just get whiffed. And if they switch in Kyogre right here, that's not really a safe play because I'm going for P-Blades. And then I also have the option to go for Sucker Punch the next turn if I really want to. So I don't know. I imagine they might just go for the Sucker Punch. Okay, but they just go for Protect with Mawile, so that's fine too. And they just foul play. Wow, so they didn't even care about my Thundurus. That's really interesting. I honestly would have expected my opponent to care a little bit more about the Thundurus, just because it's really, really good for the Kyogre matchup right here. I understand that the Sucker Punch play was risky on their side, but if like at the very least, I would have expected them to switch out Mawile. Because now if they're a min-speed Kyogre, then they're in a really bad position. And then if they brought something over Kyogre for whatever reason, then that's also bad. But no, they just bring in Yveltal. So this is actually really, really weird. And I'm actually really scared they might have Heat Wave. So wow, this is pretty nerve-wracking. They might have Heat Wave on this Yveltal. I don't know. I guess I have to risk it at this point because I don't know what else did they have on their team to deal with it. I don't know. I don't think a Heat Wave knocks out my Mawile just because I'm so bulky, unless they're Life Orb Heat Wave. But yeah, I'd rather cycle out the Groudon too because if they switch in Kyogre, I want to keep my weather. And Yveltal is actually showing to not be too important at this point either. So yeah, hopefully, I'd imagine they probably switch out Mawile and then maybe attack into... No, if they have Heat Wave, they wouldn't switch out, so I don't know. Also good to note that getting rid of the Sun means if they do have Heat Wave, it won't KO me. So let's see, they just go for Protect, and I guess an Iron Head on a Mawile? -2, let's see how much this does. Actually still does a fair bit, so that's pretty bad for me. I don't think a foul play on their side will be able to knock out my Mawile, but I think they might just go for the Sucker Punch too. But that's really interesting on their side because if they didn't attack into my Groudon, they would have just lost their Mawile and then they like lost the game. So that was actually a pretty good read on their side. If they went for the read, it was a good read. But now I'm put in a bad position. I think what I have to do right here is just go for a, I don't know, probably a Dark Pulse into the Mawile and Protect. Because I expect them, they probably have to double into me. Oh wow, and they went for a double Protect, so maybe they're going for another Iron Head. So they probably aren't Life Orb if they're going for that play. Wow, and they just go for Play Rough. That's a really bad play. Because they're -2. Yeah, so I really don't know what they were expecting with that play right there. Because if I went for Play Rough and they didn't get a double Protect, then they lost the game immediately. But yeah, now I'm put in a really bad position. I don't want to just go and sack Thundurus at this point. So I don't know. I guess what I'll do is just Snarl and Play Rough the Yveltal. I mean, if they're Life Orb foul play and they Sucker Punch my Mawile, they probably pick up the knockout. Oh, but they switch out to Kyogre, I think. So this might be big. So I guess my opponent was trying to bluff the Life Orb or something right there. So this is actually really, really great for me. This puts me in a winning position. Because now I'm going to be able to knock out the Yveltal unless they, like, triple crit my Mawile or something weird. Oblivion Wing coming out. And they are max speed, so that's fine. Probably going to knock out my Yveltal, so that's fine. As long as Play Rough connects here, though, I should pick up a knockout. And it also means that I should be able to just bring in Groudon and win. And they are Life Orb, too. Okay, and Play Rough connects. And that will definitely knock out. Okay, so now we're back in a great position, because now Thundurus is really, really, really good here. Wow, okay, and they were special Yveltal, too, so... Alright. Thundurus is going to come out right here. And this right here is mostly just so they have to play the mind games. Okay, so in this situation, I'd assume they will probably just go for a Water-type attack and maybe a Sucker Punch. So I think what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to Thunder Wave Kyogre and then Protect. They might predict that, but I think that's fine. Because they have to worry about me going for a Thunderbolt and a Sucker Punch, because I would also knock out their Kyogre too. Okay, and they just let me Thunder Wave right here. So, Sucker Punch, whiffs, Origin Pulse, okay. So that's initially what I was predicting right there. But that's really good for me now because Groudon's obviously able to come out, threaten both the Mawile and the Kyogre with Precipice Blades. And as long as it... I would imagine as long as it connects with the Mawile on their side, then I basically win the game, I think. I mean, I do have the Sun Up, which is really, really important. I mean, I guess my opponent's potential win condition right here is that they can... Yeah, no, their only win condition for me is to miss right here. And I should probably just Sucker Punch their Kyogre to play it safe, but I don't know how bulky they are. I think it's fine at this point, though. Okay, and they just forfeit, so they're not even going to try to deal with the hacks. Obviously, paralysis, 1 in 4 chance to be fully paralyzed. And then their Mawile is most likely going to be a slow variant, given that they had the Cresselia on their side. So obviously, Groudon would be able to outspeed them, despite the fact that it is minimum speed. So I'm really glad that I was able to get off the prediction that second to last turn. I was really hoping that my opponent would predict me to go for the more offensive play, but Thunder Wave was just really, really safe on my side. So definitely a good game right there. It went sort of back and forth. I also played sort of bad at the very beginning, just because obviously I let myself take a play rough on my Yveltal, and then my opponent got the double protect, which I don't know. I was really expecting a Heat Wave to come out of their side. Just given that their team really didn't have good ways to deal with Pokemon like Ferrothorn and Mawile. And then, I don't know, I guess Oblivion Wing sort of made sense for their side, but what else would they have had? Like Foul Play and Dark Pulse or Snarl? So yeah, I don't know. I was really, really, really expecting Heat Wave to come out. So maybe they just didn't have it, or they didn't want to risk missing and then losing the game. But yeah, no, I don't know. That's fine. I ended up winning the game right there, so yeah, I'm definitely fine with that. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the episode, guys. As usual, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please go and leave a like. It helps out a lot. And if you have not gone and done it yet, go and subscribe, check out social media, keep up with all my videos. And as always, thanks for watching.